What's good, JOO family? How y'all doing? Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Hump day. We're here finally, midweek.
Man, listen, I haven't slept all week, so I don't know if it's midweek or it's just one long day. I'm not
Mm,
100% sure on this one. But welcome to Just Our Opinion with Robin.
Vaughn
Just Vaughn, like you're not gonna say and Vaughn. Like,
and
that's
Vaughn.
weird.
Why is it weird?
Because, like, how you just got. That's
You
so
know what? We
weird.
don't critique each other on the other show that I do with Saki.
That's
So
because you and Saki have a knockoff podcast, and
it's not.
it is. It
It's
is.
pretty awesome.
Whatever. Anyway, tonight we are talking about marriage. Is love enough?
Mm, okay.
Is love enough? So it's interesting, and we gonna really deep dive into this thing because there are some times where maybe and maybe not, I guess. So we gonna explore whether we feel love is enough in a marriage.
Okay.
Talk about some situations, some scenarios, maybe take some questions and go from there. What you think?
I, I'm captive here on the show, so I guess I'm gonna have to go with the flow.
You said captive, like somebody holding a gun to you. Anybody keeping you hostage at this doggone in this studio? You think somebody outside the door stop you from leaving?
It could be.
I do got to hit outside.
You probably do.
I ain't gonna lie, I gotta hit outside.
Mm.
So the other thing that's hype that's going on tonight is tonight we are giving away tickets to Taste of Black Spirits.
11th anniversary edition.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is the 11th Taste of Black Spirits. I remember the first one. That's crazy.
Yeah, technically it's not the anniversary, but it is the
The
11th
11th Taste of
edition,
Black Spirits.
because
Yes.
you guys have done it in multiple states.
Yes, yes.
It's kind of gotten somewhat national.
It's national. We're definitely national.
I mean, you hit some major spots.
It's definitely national, and it's been a wild ride.
Yep. It's been amazing to watch it grow from, being an event here in Detroit and local, and you guys were able to brand it out to Brooklyn and then Miami, and you're still doing one in Houston.
Going to Houston in November.
Houston's on deck in November.
Houston has already been announced. Houston in November,
Okay.
November 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Yep. So
So we're really excited about that. We're really excited about the things that's happening with Taste of Black Spirits. Like I said, I remember the very first Taste of Black Spirits. Like, I remember us, you know, doing interviews with these brands and, being introduced to all these different brands. And what's really cool about it is a lot of these brands have become family now. A lot of these brand owners have become family now. Literally will come by the house when they in town now and, call and check on us. It's so funny because one of the brand owners, Kevin from Island John, I had posted something on social media a few months ago, and I seemed kind of down in my post. And he literally texted me and was like, yo, I'm just checking on you. Are you good? I'm praying for you. If you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. Like family, you know what I'm saying? It was on some real family stuff, and that's what Taste of Black Spirits did. That's what it has become, on top of us bringing awareness to these just phenomenal entrepreneurs and these phenomenal brands, and bringing these things to the forefront.
Well, I think, when you're helping to grow someone's business, you become endured with them, develop a relationship. So it's always good. That's how I conduct my business as well. For what I do professionally, I usually prefer to develop a personal relationship, because that helps to give me an edge over any competitors that I have at the end of the day. Because, they might bring the same thing to the table, but knowing that I'm genuinely interested in their success and helping
Right.
them, helps them make a decision to say, hey, I'm going to do business with them as well.
It's about relationships.
Yep.
It's about genuine relationships.
Yep.
You have people with, motive around you all the time. But when you have somebody that is genuinely trying to see you succeed, it becomes a completely different situation.
Mm-hmm.
And
true.
I appreciate what Taste of Black Spirits has brought especially that aspect that Taste of Black Spirits has brought to the table. So I definitely appreciate that.
Okay.
Like I said, on top of just, my God, I've had some of the best liquor. Like, the best liquor. Like, if you are not up on some of the brands at Taste of Black Spirits, you have no idea what you missing. Like, if you just go to the store or drink what the entertainers tell you to drink, you are completely missing out.
What's the one out of Miami, the vanilla vodka?
Oh, Victor George. Man, that's stuff.
Tops. Cask and Cane.
Yes.
Shout out to my frat brother there in I think Virginia.
Yes.
Well, Cask and Cane is a good one.
Listen, that Island John vodka, it hits.
The Island
every
John
time.
coconut vodka is really good.
Oh, the coconut vanilla?
The coconut vanilla vodka, yes.
I did a tasting for that about 2 weeks ago, and the crowd response to that coconut vanilla was just something to see. Like, the way people, like, just to watch how somebody's face looked the first time that coconut vanilla hit their tongue. Mm-hmm. That was something to see.
I feel like I remember that one time I went with you when you did the tasting, and was it the apple guayave? People were like, was that the one that was really sweet they could drink on the rocks?
Yes.
Yeah, and the people, that one, because when they did the Richie Reserve, just the traditional vodka, tasted it, okay, it was pretty smooth. It was smooth.
It didn't burn. Right.
Then they hit that apple guayave, that flavor, and how sweet it was, and that was, I remember that one, I think, sold the most that day too, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So, that's my favorite.
Yep.
And then second is the coconut vanilla, and I hate coconut. That's what's crazy. Like, I absolutely despise the taste of coconut, but I love that coconut vanilla.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
See, on the other hand, I love coconut, so I was like in heaven when we went to Puerto Rico, and I could try any type of coconut that they have. So, but actually, I will say, my disappointment though was the best coconut flavored drink I think I've had to date was at Trader Vic's in Atlanta at the Hilton downtown Atlanta hotel. It's a restaurant called Trader Vic's at the bottom of the hotel. They had a really great drink down there.
I don't know them people.
I do. If I'm ever in Atlanta, I would just go there just to get a drink.
So, like I said, tonight we're going to give away some tickets to Taste of Black Spirits.
So what's the agenda for Taste of Black Spirits? Because I know that obviously we're giving away tickets for the event Saturday night with all the vendors, people coming in. You can come in, your ticket will get you basically samples of all the liquor you can drink there. They'll give you samples. They'll talk to you about the product.
You'll get sample tickets. You'll get to meet the brands and things of that nature.
There'll be food there as well. There'll be some entertainment there as well. Yes. And there'll be some superstars in the room as well.
Including me.
And myself and the Qs. So there you go.
So you got to remember that Taste of Black Spirits is a national conference. So it's not just the Saturday night event.
Exactly.
Taste of Black Spirits is so much more than just the Saturday night event. Taste of Black Spirits is networking. Taste of Black Spirits is meeting investors. Taste of Black Spirits is we have an event for the women the women in supply chain.
Yep.
That is on, I believe it's on Thursday afternoon. It's either Thursday or Friday afternoon. The women in supply chain.
What's going on Friday then?
Friday is Liquid.
Okay, and that's where all the entrepreneurs come and talk about getting in the business.
Yes. Liquid is always a very informative event. Yep. Liquid is one that I suggest nobody miss, because Liquid is kind of where you get that secret sauce. You are able to hear firsthand from investors and from brands and how they got started, what they had to do, the mistakes they made, the successes they had, and learn from them firsthand, ask questions, meet them, exchange information, exchange ideas in one room, in one setting. Liquid has always been just an amazing event for Taste of Black Spirits.
And I'll add, even if you're not interested in the liquor industry, but just to go learn and meet people that are entrepreneurs, that have started their businesses, that have gone through trials and tribulations, and some of them are reaching success, to meet with those investors, to kind of understand what it is they're looking for. While you may not necessarily be in the spirit industry for what you want to do, it will give you a general idea of perhaps how you can get investment and capital for your business to grow that.
Absolutely. Last year at Liquid, we actually had a couple that they were starting a tea, a non-alcoholic.
Oh yeah, was that the one out of Atlanta?
Yes, it was a tea.
The tea and that lemonade.
And it was tea and lemonade.
And they had the little juice stuff we bought too.
Yes. And they were able to get so much knowledge and so much information. And first, the stuff was amazing. Their product was amazing. We ordered their product. It was so good.
I wish I could remember their name.
I believe we still have a bottle. I believe we still have.
We have the flavoring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it was so good.
We'll have to give them a shout out next week.
Yes, absolutely. I hope they're. I hope they're there this
we'll
year.
probably have some of the tea or something.
I hope they're there this year. But the product was so good. But that goes, back to what you were saying about you don't have to be in the liquor industry to get information that you need out of Liquid.
Yep.
They were speaking about how to get, the scan codes on your products and how to get distribution and things like that. Just regular e-commerce. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't get pulled at the gas station.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Regular e-commerce for, information and
yep.
And there are people there that are looking to invest in good products, not just liquor.
Yep.
Not just the spirits industry. Invest in.
You had the tea people. You had the energy drink folks that are there that support.
Yes, the chips in Miami.
The chips, yeah, those were good too.
Oh, absolutely
those
delicious.
Were good, yeah.
Absolutely delicious.
So
there's so much more to Taste of Black Spirits and the events of Taste of Black Spirits than, I'm going to go and get lit and, I'm going to go and drink liquor. Like, if that's what you're looking for, yeah, that's there too. Like, don't get me wrong. However, there's so much more to that event. So I encourage you to take full advantage of the events for tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, because you can learn so much and take your business to the next level.
I agree. And, probably be a little bit of Detroit who's who. Last year, I met there's a couple of college professors there, I think, or deans of students for some colleges. It's just, and these are historically black colleges, but my point being is it's a good networking event in general.
Absolutely. We had judges from Southfield Municipal there. Detroit Municipal was there.
Yep.
I met a amazing judge from Southfield last year. Because we launched Ron Isley's brand here in Michigan last year for Taste of Black Spirits. And the judge wanted to come and get a bottle and meet Ron Isley. So, they got with me and said, she's coming over and, we need to be able to get her in and out. And, she's a dignitary.
Yep.
So we need to handle that. We need to handle that as such. So, I handled that and facilitated that, her in and out. And, first of all, she was amazing. She was so sweet and, just so down to earth. She was just absolutely amazing. But that's the type of people and networking that happens at Taste of Black Spirits. This is not a hood party. That's not what we do.
Well, no.
And then we get dressed.
I was gonna say, and that's
we
something
get
else.
Dressed.
You come dressed to impress. It's more of an after 5 type event, I'd say.
Yeah, ish. Yep. Ish.
I mean,
after 5-ish, I get sharp every year. So
you do.
You ain't got to get sharp as me, but don't come looking like no slob.
Yeah. Don't.
We're gonna look at you funny.
Don't come in sweatpants and.
First of all, you're not gonna get in your sweatpants.
Yep.
We're not letting you in.
Jeans.
It's not
jeans
that kind of
might
party.
be kind of on the line too, depending on how you come.
If you got your jeans on, put a sport coat on with it. Some nice shoes. This is not a jogging suit party. It's just not that type of party.
Nope.
It's not that type of party at all.
And the Tubi stars.
Man, yes.
Tubi
I
stars.
posted a promo video yesterday with a couple of the Tubi stars that support Taste of Black Spirits and some of the brands and things like that. I posted a promo video yesterday, and
so if you're an aspiring actor or actress, it might be an opportunity.
And that's the other thing. So Taste of Black Spirits is also going on at the same time. We have the film festival,
Detroit Black.
the film festival going on as well. So it's literally a who's who among both worlds.
Yep.
Like you have a who's who among the film industry and the spirits industry in one place.
Yep.
So regardless to which world you are a part of, there's going to be something for you.
Or which world you want to be part of.
Or which world you aspire to be a part of.
Yep. So, okay. So, how are we going to give away these tickets?
You know, I am I'm thinking about that. I think we're going to talk through this episode. And then at the end of the episode, I am going to ask a couple of questions about the conversations we've had during the episode.
Okay.
And if you can answer the questions in the comments, you can win the tickets.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, that means you got to be watching. You got to be paying attention.
Yep. Okay.
To win the tickets to Taste of Black Spirits. And I think I got like 4. I think I'll do about 4 tickets tonight.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, if you're paying attention and you're paying attention to our conversation, you can win tickets to Taste of Black Spirits.
All right.
And you can be my special guest while we're there. And if you're my special guest at Taste of Black Spirits, there's no limit. Who gonna check me? Anyway, so tonight we're talking about marriage. Is love enough?
Okay.
And where I want to kind of start that at is I feel like you start marriage in this kind of honeymoon phase, right?
You start marriage in lust.
I think you start relationships in lust. I don't think you start marriage in lust. Why do you say you start marriage in lust?
I just feel like people start marriage in lust.
Why? You have to be able to back that up.
Because they are still basically enamored with that person. They're still willing to overlook any flaws and issues. I think there's still largely a lot of, physical desires that override potentially, any compatibility issues you might see or think of.
Like I said, I think that relationships start with lust. I don't necessarily agree that marriage starts with lust.
Okay.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I would hope that by the time you decide to walk down that aisle, you're past the lustful phase. I do think that marriages start with the fairy tale phase. I do think people walk into marriages with this Disney dream of, oh my God, we're going to live happily ever after and everything's going to be great and birds are going to chirp and sing and, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be happy every day. I do think that happens. I don't think it's lust, though. I think it's delusion. I think it's darn right freaking delusion.
Well, even in the Disney story, there's usually a wicked witch, the death of a loved one, There's always some type of drama. So
that's hostile. Like, why marriages got to start with people dying?
I'm just saying.
And wicked witches.
You threw out the Disney
My marriage
example.
started with wicked witches, but that's neither here nor there.
First one or second one?
No face, no case. I only had one. Know what you're talking about.
Scoot over. Lightning come.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I've only had one marriage, sir. Prove it. Prove it. No, but in all seriousness, I think that I don't necessarily know whether love is even a full construct when people get married. I think that people go into marriage more so on this high.
Well, I think, first of all, and I know we did this before in a few episodes back, there are different types of love to begin with. And even when you get into the romantic love, there are probably even different levels there with that. I mean, and I guess my question to you would be, what is, the type of love that you think people have in a marriage? How do you define it? Is it the romantic one? Is it the family love?
I'm talking about
love?
The sustaining one. Like, I'm not trying to get all deep into this and talk about the types of love. I'm talking about at the end of the day, the question is love enough in a marriage? Like, and the breakdown is, is there a point where that's enough? Like, that's enough to sustain us?
I don't think it's necessarily by itself enough to sustain. Is it, the bond or the glue that can keep it together? That's a different issue. Is the love strong enough to keep a marriage together? Because to your point, let's just say, okay, you do come in with some delusions and you believe it's going to be a fairy tale thing. When reality comes crashing in, what do you do then? What do you deal with? And then you have to decide, is that love enough for you to hold on to rebuild that marriage, to rebuild, that relationship? I think at the end of the day, people don't recognize this, but people grow and change over the years. As you mature, you get older, you have certain beliefs and thoughts that you don't agree with or abide by anymore as you get older. So I think that, part of the issue is, as people begin to change, you have two people that came together, and as they're both changing as they get older and life affects them, you have to decide, is that the person I still love and want to be with, and do you still love the core of who that person was when you met them? And I think that's important to know. So at the end of the day, like I said, I think love is kind of that glue, that bond that can be enough to keep the marriage together as you have all these other changes, and that's just between the two people that are married. That doesn't include what happens when you have kids, that doesn't include how you deal with family members, in-laws, things of that sort in the marriage. I mean, there are a lot of things that can affect the marriage that can cause it to prosper or cause it to fail.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I was watching TikTok earlier, right? And it was this young lady, and she was talking about how on her way down the aisle, like before her and her bridesmaids came out the room, she told her bridesmaids, like, y'all be ready, it's about to be some shit, And then her brother was walking her down the aisle, and she told her brother, be ready, it's about to be, it's about to be some shit, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And she gets down the aisle, and as she's telling the story, she's basically telling everybody that the reason she did this was because she had made up in her mind that she wasn't gonna marry this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she's walking down the aisle, but has made up in her mind that she's not gonna marry this guy.
Mm-hmm.
She gets to the front of the church, the minister is doing his thing, and they get to the point, is there anybody that think these two shouldn't be married? When the minister gets to that point, a lady stands up in the audience, and, Tyrone, I can't believe you actually going through with this. She turns around and she like, are we serious? And she acting flabbergasted at this point. How though? She, her bridesmaids pinning their hair up, then come to find out that the girl wasn't by herself. Like, she had people strategically placed through their wedding, ready to cut a whole damn fool at their wedding. So it became a brawl. Like, her family, Sad Chick's family, his people, it became a full out brawl at this wedding. My question is, or my concern is, that this is what we've turned marriage into. We've turned marriage into, I'm going to put on this pretty dress. All my friends are going to see. I'm going to walk down this aisle. I'm going to have these pictures. But nobody is considering after the lights go out, after the cameras are gone, after the people are done, after y'all do these dances and all this other stuff. Nobody is considering what happens when y'all go home after the honeymoon and close that door and you stuck with that damn person.
Yeah. So did they wind up getting married?
No.
So they just wasted all that money.
A lot. And that's another thing. Like,
and people's time.
We spending all this money.
And their time. Because imagine they was getting fitted for tuxes and dresses. People out there helping them find the facility for the wedding reception where they got married at. They did counseling, all that. But I don't think that that's necessarily representative again. Of the original topic of it being, is love enough to sustain a marriage? I mean, because at the end of the day, I would submit that, clearly the person who had the side chick was ready to marry somebody else, really didn't love the woman he claimed that he was going to marry and spend the rest of his life with, because he had already established that he was not that man.
The reason I brought it up is because it speaks to what everybody is doing as opposed to actually dealing with the real of marriage. If you ask me, I don't think love is enough. I do not think love is enough to withstand a marriage. I can promise you that there has been times in our marriage that love was not the only thing that kept me with you.
What else kept you with me?
Well, what kept you alive would be some stuff. Like, it's not just kept me with you, it's kept you breathing. Like, I don't look good in orange. You gotta have that thought that robbing prison probably not for you. You gotta have those type of thoughts. You gotta think about, we have children. There's been times where it was our children that kept me married. I don't believe love is enough. And this is just full transparency. You have to have not just love, you have to have maturity. You have to have transparency. You have to have a willingness to have honest and open conversations. I can love you all day, but if I can't have a freaking conversation with you, what the hell does love have to do with it?
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, but my point earlier was, I think that love in itself can't necessarily sustain it, but it does have to be that glue to keep it together, because you can have someone you can have a conversation with and not love them, and be in a relationship or whatever and be like, I don't really love them, so I'm not going to be here. I mean, I think there's complexities to it. I'm in agreement that yes, love is not necessarily enough, but I do think it is, and it probably would be the cornerstone of what you're going to build and keep that marriage together on. Because truthfully, other than that, if you look at, people like to say, marriage is like a business deal. Well, everybody ain't got good credit. Everybody ain't got assets to bring to the table. Everybody don't have money to bring to the table. So, it's usually not a great business if you really think about it. At the end of the day, there has to be an attachment and a desire to be with that person that you're willing to fight through and deal with, all the troubles that you are going to encounter when you are married. And again, because you have two people, to your point, yeah, you do have to be able to have conversation and communicate with each other. But I think there's also a deal of, sacrifice that you have to have, be willing to die to yourself to, basically provide and take care of your mate. And you also have to be willing to not be selfish and recognize the issues that you've brought to the table that they're dealing with you. And I think that's other things that people have to consider.
I think what you're skipping over is love is fickle, though. That's why I say it's not enough.
No, love isn't fickle.
Love is fickle. No. Love is a fickle little bitch, and it always has been. Love is an emotion.
Love is also an action word, and it's a verb, and it's something that you do. I think someone being happy can be fickle. Someone, putting your happiness into the marriage, that's going to result in disappointment and not being, having any real true joy at the end of the day. I think that, that's probably a confusion that a lot of people have. I mean, at the end of the day, you have kids and they can get on your nerves, but you still love them at the end of the day. You may not like what they do, you may not like how they act, but you still love them.
And that's my point. I can love you enough to leave you alone.
Well, I mean, but
I can love you enough to walk away from you. I can love me more than I love you. That's what I'm saying. It's not enough. That's not enough to sustain a marriage. Love by itself is not enough to sustain a marriage. At the end of the day, you cannot wake up and be like, I'm miserable, but I love him. We broke, but I love him. He beats me, but I love him. He don't listen to me, but I love him. He's not willing to compromise, but I love him. He's not willing to take accountability, but I love him. Like, at some point, love stops freaking being enough. The scales stop balancing.
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't think love in itself, but in its entirety, will keep a marriage going. But it does have to be that.
The question is love enough, though? It's not.
We have already agreed and said it's not. But I think the role it plays in a marriage outside anything else is very important. It's still probably the most important thing you need to have in a marriage.
I don't agree with that.
What's more important than love than you need to have in a marriage?
I don't agree with that.
What do you need in a marriage?
I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe that love comes in stages and in phases. And especially in a long-standing marriage, I believe that I can have times when I love you and times that, honestly, I don't even like you, let alone want to say I love you.
But like and love are two different things. And again, the example I gave is you can not like your kids, you can not like what your kids do, but you still love them. That's my point. So like and love are not the same emotion. They're two different things. Just like happiness and joy are two different things. And happiness is more based upon your emotional state and thoughts. And at the end of the day, you're right. I mean, you can love somebody and not talk to them because you still love them, but they're not good for you. There are relatives that we have that we don't talk to. We may love them, but we don't deal with them because we know they bring issues and baggage and drama.
See, and I think that's where we're running into the issue, because here's the problem that I have when people say stuff like, I love you, but I don't deal with you. I think where people really misconstrue that is when we start talking about, and this is not me trying to get into your type of love thing, but it's the type of love. Like, I don't care nothing about you. I love you enough to not want you dead. I love you enough to not want you to walk outside and get hit by a bus. I love you enough to want your soul saved. But beyond that, I don't care nothing about you.
But that's not a love that you have for a marriage. That's my point. When you're talking about is love enough in a marriage, you have to talk about what type of love you're talking about. And, what you're describing is perhaps, just a general brotherly love, a common love that you have for life and for people. You don't wish ill upon them. You don't want any harm to come to them. But, other than that, that's it. It's just like I read a post today that said, it was about forgiveness, and it basically said that when you forgive somebody, being neutral towards them is okay. You're not negative towards them, and you're not going out your way to be, you don't feel positive about them. But when you forgive somebody, you can just be neutral, and that's good enough.
Why can't you just remove them?
Well, you can't remove them, but I'm just saying that, if you, when you talk about, again, a forgiveness of someone, you're not angry at them, but you're not necessarily happy with them either. You can forgive somebody and be like, okay, you did this, I forgive you, and move on.
So, I'm gonna spin the block on that one, because that's kind of another one that's always perplexed me. I was actually having a conversation with I would consider him like my second dad earlier today, and I was telling him that one of my sayings that I've kind of stood on for a very long time is the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. And basically what that means is, and my dad used to say it a little differently when I was a kid. And when I was younger, I didn't really understand what it meant. And when I got older, it was probably the realest thing I'd ever thought about in my life. And my daddy used to say, I don't like a N word enough to hate him. And as a kid, I would sit there and go, I don't like enough to hate him. And I'd be like, what does that even mean, you know? But when I became an adult, I'm like, OMG, I get that. Like, I don't like you enough to hate you. There's nobody walking this earth that I like enough to hate. I don't care enough about you to give you the energy to hate you. Because the opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference.
Oh, I mean, I guess that's one thought about it.
Like, you cannot
Hate does take energy to do, you know.
Hate is literally an extremely strong emotion. The amount of energy and emotion you have to put into, and time you have to put into hating someone. Like when you hear women that broke up with an ex, right?
Yeah.
And we can spin this back to marriage. You hear a woman, right? And she done broke up with an ex. And she's sitting up and she crying and I hate him. I hate him so much. She's not over this dude yet. She has not emotionally purged herself from him. She is not emotionally sober yet. Because the fact that she is sitting here screaming about how much she hates him, and she is putting that type of energy into hating him in her spirit and wanting to do harm to him and screaming I hate him and crying and all this other stuff, that's energy. That is energy. When it is way simpler to just go, I'm done with you. You no longer exist in my world. And that's it. Be completely indifferent. It's a song by Maya, and the song came out, and I want to say it was like 98, 99. And the song is called If You Died I Wouldn't Cry, 'Cause You Never Loved Me Anyway. One of the wildest songs I've ever heard in my life. If you died, I wouldn't cry, 'cause you never loved me anyway. That's indifference.
Yeah, but she wrote a song about it, huh?
But my point is, no, she was hurt. She was definitely hurt.
No indifference.
She was definitely hurt.
She wrote a song about it.
But the phrase is indifference. Like, if she really meant that, it's indifference. I mean, like, yeah. I got people right now that I wouldn't take the bereavement day to go to their funeral. And I would get the day paid, and I wouldn't take it. For what? I'm going to work. Or I'm going to take the bereavement day and sleep. I still ain't going to the damn funeral, though.
You done stole a bereavement day.
I still ain't going.
You done stole a bereavement day.
Still ain't going. I don't care enough about you to look at your body in front of a church. That's just too much time and energy. I got to get up and get dressed and drive and use gas, and that's energy. I don't have that. I don't have that for you. I don't have it for you. And the reason why I say I'd go to work is because I don't have it to send the email to pretend to give a shit. I'd have to literally send people emails to be like, oh my God, such and such died. OMG. I don't have that. I'd rather just go about my day. That's indifference. That's what I mean by love is something real. It's iffy. Well, you can purge your spirit of somebody.
You can do that. I mean, I won't argue that, but I don't think that love. I just disagree. I don't think love is iffy. Again, depending upon the type of love you're talking about for somebody, and again, getting back to what type of love do you need for a marriage. what type of love is that? So I think you do need, a romantic love in marriage. You need a, the sexual love. You need the, the love of your the humanly love that, of your brother, your sister, the familial love. You need that as well. Those are the types of love descriptions I think that you need to, have that cornerstone of what I call love for the marriage. Now, like I said, I think we both agree that that in itself is not enough to sustain a marriage. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that cornerstone, you probably shouldn't be getting married to begin with. Other than that, you're just getting married for whatever reason it was you got married for. And it could be lust, it could be money, it could be the attention you got from the wedding, it could be the status you have from being married to that person. Who knows? But at the end of the day, if you really don't have love in your marriage, you don't have a cornerstone, and when the hard times come, your marriage will fail.
So what happens during those times where love isn't enough?
Well, I think again there are other things that you have in the marriage. So do you have a commitment to that person? Do you, I will say in a marriage, as with any relationship, especially a long-term one, there are points where you don't like that person. You don't want to look at them. You don't want to see them. You don't want to smell them. You don't want them to touch you. I get that. So there are, what actually needs to help sustain that marriage is you do have to have a friendship. You have to legitimately enjoy that person's company. You have to enjoy their conversation. There are times when sex is good. You need to have that in a marriage, I believe, as well. But there are times when sex, won't happen, won't be enough. If, we've had the conversation about, women being dick dumb, and it's not really it. They're just so in love with the guy. So, at some point, if they're not liking him a lot, they could, not enjoy the sex. They got to get themselves back into enjoying that and enjoying that person, their time. There are other things that people may have. There may be material things that they need in the marriage that will keep them happy and help get them through the rough times. Do you have, what's your lifestyle like? What do you have together? At the end of the day as well. Those are things to consider. There are people that complain about what they don't get in their marriage and their spouse doesn't do X, Y, and Z for them, but they can't do it on their own without that spouse. So, that happens too.
But I guess we didn't answer my question though. So the original question was, is love enough? And we both agree that no, love isn't enough. So what do you do when it's not enough? When you reach those times in your marriage, and it's inevitable.
And I just detailed what some of those other things are that help sustain that marriage, that friendship, the ability to communicate with them. Sex is going to, sometimes help bridge that gap for you in that
It
marriage.
Doesn't. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't.
It may not from your side, but from a guy's side, it does.
It doesn't. And here's the thing, though.
Don't say it doesn't for me or it doesn't for women.
But here's the problem. If it only bridges a gap on one side, it didn't bridge the gap.
Well,
you can't build half a bridge.
Sometimes some people make more of a bridge than the other. Marriage is not always 50-50.
But you can't build half a bridge.
Sometimes you get that bridge 80-90% of the way, and the other person will come the other 20. You don't know.
Okay, but my point is, if sex is what can sustain one of the people, and the other one is like, stop trying to bubble gum and duct tape this problem in this marriage. You cannot screw me through this. What happens at that point? Because I've seen it happen.
Okay, I'm not saying sex is the only thing, but I'm saying it can be one of the things, and it doesn't have to be at the same time. There could be two different things that are bridging and keeping the people in the relationship. Okay, so there's, I just named, friendship. You have to have communication. You have to have some other things perhaps in common. Maybe you just have a general commitment and loyalty. Those are things that can help keep a marriage, that are needed to keep a marriage together. I won't say help. You need those things in addition to love to keep that marriage together. All those things are important things to have in a healthy marriage and to keep it going. If you don't have loyalty, what's to say they're not sleeping around on you and cheating?
Yeah, yeah. I just
and you don't have a marriage if one person's not loyal. You got someone who thinks they're in a monogamous relationship, and the other person out there doing whatever the hell they want to do.
I guess for me, being practical about the whole thing, there has to be a middle ground. There has to be a point where that couple can come to the table and find a common ground to save that marriage. I personally don't think sex is ever that common ground. Sex is bubblegum and duct tape if you're having problems in your marriage. That's what it is. It's bubblegum and duct tape. Because you have that temporary endorphin high, but it fixed none of the freaking problems.
But maybe it gets you in that endorphin high. You're feeling good enough that you're going to work on the other problem.
No, it doesn't though. Well, because what happens is you have that temporary endorphin high. Now y'all back in this Google stage for a moment. And you still have not addressed the actual freaking problem.
All right. So what do you need to sustain a marriage?
To address whatever is causing the problem in the marriage. Like at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to actually sustain a marriage is being able to work through problems, being able to communicate through issues, and being able to honestly communicate through issues. You have to be able to work through shit because shit is going to come at you.
Okay, and I think I covered that earlier.
And sex is not a way to work through shit in a marriage.
But you're also the same person like you wouldn't be in a marriage if you didn't have sex or if you had bad sex.
That is 100% true. However, that's not how I'm trying to fix problems in a marriage.
But I'm just saying that.
Because I'll also be the first person that could give less than a damn about screwing somebody in my marriage if we're not in a good place. I could care less about not having sex if we're not in a good place.
I agree with that, but yeah, I also agree that if you're in a bad place and you haven't had sex in a while, sometimes that helps start that bridge.
It doesn't.
It may not.
It doesn't.
No, I'm not.
It doesn't.
I'm not saying it's not the bridge in itself, but I'm saying it helps part of that healing and bringing things back together.
It doesn't.
Maybe it calms the tempers enough to be able to talk.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It's a temporary endorphin high. It helps nothing.
I didn't say you're going to have sex and live happily ever after 18 years. I said it's part of the process that you need.
It helps nothing.
There are plenty of times you and I have been disjointed, didn't have sex for a while. We had sex, and then we were able to sit down and talk afterwards.
And here's the problem. We can sit down and we talk afterwards. But if somebody is not being honest in that conversation, if somebody is not taking accountability in that conversation, if somebody doesn't feel heard in that conversation, if somebody is still in the same patterns they were in that caused the issues to begin with, sex is not going to do anything. It's bubble gum and duct tape. Yeah, it might calm enough to start the conversation, but that's all it did was start the conversation if nobody changes.
I feel like you're just being combative now because I've already said that it starts it. I didn't say it fixed it, but it helped start the process. That's it.
I personally, and this is just me, and I've always felt this way. I personally, if you having issues in your marriage, personally, especially if they're big issues, remove sex for a minute. Remove it. Stop complicating shit. Because sex puts you in that Google stage. Because of the temporary endorphin high. Because it gives you that warm and fuzzy. Because of the dick dumb. It stops you from addressing shit. And now you're just suppressing things. Now you like, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that serious.
Or it could be the stimulus to get you that conversation you need to have.
No, it won't.
So.
Shit, I ain't never seen it.
Mm.
Literally ever. 10 years of marriage, never seen it. Literally ever. I've never seen sex get you to the point of that conversation. I've seen sex get you to other conversations or more sex, but never to the fixed conversation. I am just, and maybe it's age and maturity, but I'm at the point of take my pussy off the table. Right. Until you can fix this.
I can recall plenty of times
take my pussy off the table.
That we've had sex and then be able to sit down and talk afterwards and work on some issues. So,
and still didn't fix said issues because somebody wasn't listening, somebody wasn't taking accountability, somebody wouldn't let the other one talk. It didn't fix nothing. Like I said, for me personally, I feel like you take your pussy off the table. Unless you trying to manipulate the situation with your genitals, and then that's on you. I mean, because that works too. I've seen that. It's worked. Yeah, I saw a chick on Instagram the other day that was talking about, your dude ain't doing what you want him to do. You obviously ain't giving him head. She could be on to something.
She could be.
She could be on to something.
I mean, she was single, though, as we determined as well.
Exactly. She was single. And I've always also said, a chick with no man can't tell me what to do with mine. If she was a pro at the situation, she wouldn't be single. That's How you out here giving married advice and you single? Okay, so before we end the show, I do want to tell you about a story I heard on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I commented on the story, and people got so angry with me. But I want you to tell me what you thought about it, okay? The story was that it was this guy and this husband and wife, and they were renewing their vows. And the wife had asked the husband to not do the whole cake smushing in the face thing. They get to the cake part, and he does it anyway. Mm-hmm. So the wife's upset, and she's like, I asked you not to do it, blah, 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 blah. She's visibly upset. He's like, it's not that big of a deal. He's, laughing about it. Why you tripping? It's not that big of a deal. She's like, because I asked you not to do it. And he's like, well, I did it at our first wedding. And she's like, and I was upset then. I asked you then not to do it. So he's like, you tripping. It's not that big of a deal. It's just cake, blah, 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 right? Keep in mind, this is a husband and a wife. They are not newlyweds. They are renewing their vows. The girl's best friend, the wife's best friend, walks up, picks up a piece of cake, smashes it in the husband's face, and says, now how do you feel about it? The husband is furious. Furious. She grabs her friend by the hand and was like, screw him, let's go. He doesn't need to be treating you like this. Who was wrong?
The husband was wrong. Mm-hmm. For putting the cake in his wife's face. Mm-hmm. When she told him ahead of time, don't do it. Mm-hmm. And the friend of the wife was wrong for smashing the cake in the husband's face as well and getting in there.
Okay. So the young lady that posted it on Instagram, it was TikTok. The young lady that posted it on TikTok was like, oh, he toxic and y'all gonna get enough for being with these toxic men. Kudos to her friend for standing up to him and blah, 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 blah. And I said, y'all have lost y'all damn minds. Every one of y'all women in this comment done lost y'all damn minds. Y'all do realize that is her husband. And I am so tired and have had completely enough of y'all friends hopping in to married people's business. I'm sick of it. I'm beyond tired of outside people having opinions in married people's business. Her friend was out of damn line. And had she been my friend, I'd have scrubbed the floor with that ass about smushing some cake in my husband's face. Because regardless to how upset I was about my husband smushing cake in my face, that was still between me and my husband. And I will deal with him the way I deal with him. You sit your little ass down somewhere. It's not your place. These women on TikTok got so mad at me. They went to going in, and I was everything but a child of God. I wasn't a feminist. I was all kinds of wrong. However, it has to be said at this point that this is getting out of hand now. I said, and on top of that, I can bet you her friend was single. I bet any amount of money her friend was single.
That was a question I had. Was her
I
friend
bet
single?
any amount of money her friend was single. I would bet a check that her friend was single. Because another married woman would have known her place. It's just another example of the chick with no man telling you what to do with yours. So, was I wrong?
I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but again, I do think, chain of events. Husband did something his wife asked him not to do. Had he not done that,
I'm not denying he was wrong.
the friend would not have got out of her place. She was out of her place to come put cake and smash it in the husband's face. Because again, if the wife wanted to do that back to her husband, she could have did it. She should have did it if that's what she wanted to do.
Exactly.
Obviously, she didn't want to do that.
Exactly.
Now, I'll say that the caveat is, she was yelling at him about, well, how would you feel if someone put cake in your face? And he'd be like, oh, it wouldn't be a big deal. And her girl jumped out and did it. Be kind of a different story, I think.
No, it wouldn't.
I think it would be.
No, it wouldn't. Because it still wasn't her place.
It would prove the point that he was lying through his teeth.
It still wasn't her place.
But,
It still wasn't her place. It still wasn't her place. I don't care if he'd have said it. It still wasn't her place. This is a outside woman getting involved in a married dispute. And this is happening way too often lately. Way too often lately. And I don't care whether the friend was married. This is happening way too often lately. It is going on way too much that outside broads got opinions about what's going on in married people's relationships. It's going on way too much. And until wives start slapping hoes, this ain't gonna stop.
who you be hanging around with? Because I don't see that happening a lot.
It's happening a lot. It's happening a lot. Because at the end of the day, a married couple, marriage is sacred. You don't touch it. It's not your business to touch. He ain't beating on her. He ain't trying to kill her. Anything other than that, you don't touch it.
What about if he's threatening to kill her and say he don't look good in orange? Does that count?
I don't know. What'd he do? What happened?
I don't know. He's just throwing out threats in general, just random threats about I don't look good in orange. That's why I ain't killed her yet.
Things happen. Depends on what happened.
Mm.
My point is, it is becoming too common for people, women especially, to find a place that don't belong to them, especially in people's marriages.
Well, like I said, I think, again, they were both wrong for what they did. I think I could see some variations where, like I said, if the wife and husband went to arguing and she said, how would you like it if I did this? And he was like, I wouldn't care, it wouldn't be a big deal.
She's still wrong.
Yeah.
She's still wrong. She's still wrong. It's not her business. She's still wrong. She's still wrong. There are certain things about a marriage that you don't touch. You don't hop into married people disputes. You don't encourage somebody to leave their husband or wife. You don't get in the middle of their arguments. There is certain things about marriages that you keep your hands
if there's spousal
off
abuse,
of.
you don't encourage them to leave.
There are even therapists will not tell you straight up to leave.
I know plenty of domestic violence helplines will give you that advice.
And they're not therapists. They people volunteering to pick up a phone. It is what it is.
Some of them are. I mean, some of them have lines where, therapists, social workers, whatever. But
Let me leave you with this. Let me leave you with this. And it's obvious that you've never been in this situation, so you don't see this side of it. I've been in situations where I've had a friend or a family member that every other week was leaving a Negro. Every other week. I hate him. I'm leaving him. Got everybody in an uproar. Everybody helping you get your stuff. Everybody mad at him. Next week he had Thanksgiving. By the second week of December, you hate him again and you leaving. By Christmas, we got to look this fool in the face and buy presents and shit. 2 days later, you leaving. Guess who at church on New Year's Eve giving his life to Christ for the third time since y'all been together, because he gonna start the year off right. By mid-January, you leaving. Guess who you spending Valentine's Day with?
She needs to leave his ass now. I'm tired of hearing the story. So,
but my point is,
I would tell her leave.
My point is,
I'm tired of hearing the damn story.
The way you respond, it is very clear that you've never lived that.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, also, it does not sound like a very healthy relationship. And did it last?
My point is,
did it last?
Okay, but you missing the point.
Did it last?
See, you missed the point.
No, you told the story. Did it last?
It doesn't matter.
So they didn't work out.
You missed the point.
Okay.
Let me tell you the point that you missed.
What's that?
It was none of your damn business.
It's my business when you call and say, hey, I'm leaving. Come help me move. Come pack my stuff. Get this U-Haul truck. That's my business. You don't involve me in it.
Guess what? Because guess what?
Because
guess what happens? Because guess what happens?
What happens?
Because guess what happens?
What happens?
After you do it once and then they go back, I ain't doing that shit no more.
Well, I'm just saying,
I ain't doing it no more. I'm done. That's your problem now. I'm not playing this game.
Well, they're like, but I'm leaving for real this time.
Go
can
get
you help me
out?
Can you help me? I ain't got no credit card. I need a
That's not. Why is that my problem?
Jesus
saves, not me.
They're your friend.
Jesus saves, not me.
See?
I am not putting myself in a space.
Didn't Eve have a video about that?
I am not.
That friend that was getting brakes beat off her?
And she kept going back.
Yeah. And what happened? Eve should have stepped up and she could have saved her.
And she
helped
kept
her move out and
going
told her
back.
leave.
She kept
that girl
going
would be alive
back.
right now this day.
And she kept going back.
And what happened?
And she kept going back.
She died and Eve married a billionaire.
Eve literally said in the song. Eve literally said in the song, "You lied and he lied and made up an excuse about how he missing his kids, and you went back." She said it in the song. You listen. I can't live for nobody but me. And when you start feeling like, when you start taking on responsibilities of people's lives and start feeling like you are the person that's responsible for saving them, you are putting yourself in a God-like position in their life instead of sending them to God to handle that for them. You're not the only person that he can use. It's not my place. That's you. Do you. I'm not about to keep doing this. I'm not going to keep playing this game with you and yo dude. I told you it's very clear that you ain't never had to do that. Anyway, let's get ready to give away these tickets to Taste the Black Spirits. I'm going to throw the questions out. I want y'all to inbox us. Y'all got till tomorrow morning to inbox us, and then I will inbox you your tickets. So what's our 3 questions? We'll do 2 questions. The first 4 people to answer the 2 questions. What's our 2 questions?
First question, I would say, so what was the consensus on love being enough to sustain a marriage?
Did we agree? Is love enough to sustain a marriage? Did we agree? Did we agree? Is love enough to sustain a marriage?
And then,
what color don't I look good in? That's our second question.
You look good in every color, honey.
What is the color that I consistently say I don't look good in?
You look good in every color.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So that's the 2 questions to win your tickets to Taste the Black Spirits. Good luck, everybody. I got a few tickets to give away. I hope to see everybody at Taste the Black Spirits on Saturday, but I also hope to see everybody at Liquid on Friday and at the Sister Supply Chain events. Basically all of the events for the summit weekend, because it's gonna be some amazing information going out this weekend. I love you guys. It's gonna be an awesome weekend. I am about to be working my butt off and tired, so if you see me, grab me a Citron, black on. We'll holler at y'all. See y'all Saturday. We love you guys.
Don't forget to inbox us if you do need to buy tickets. If you didn't win and you want to come, you can inbox us. We will send you the link.
We'll send you the link to get your tickets.
Yep.
And
They're
we will be posting links for tickets up until Saturday. So links will be in the bio. Link will be in our post. Everything. We will see you guys Saturday. Taste of Black Spirits weekend is going down. Can't wait to see y'all. Deuces.